Hey guys, this is Dan, aka Stout, and this is Stout Gaming. This is a continuation of the new series on the MaxDouble League Pokemon VGC Draft League that I'm in. This is my second week matchup with Nin, and without further ado, let's get into the matches. In looking at my opponent's team, the first thing I notice is that they brought the Palisand-Selgor combination, but they did not bring the Xurkitree Pincurchin. So this means that I have to lead Ludicolo in every game, because this Ludicolo's, with the Life Orb, max special attack, modest. In the rain, its max Hydro Pump will almost one-shot even the most specially bulky Palisand, and if it takes the Water Shuriken from the Excelgor, then it will one-shot it, so Ludicolo is my hard counter to potential Palisand leads. The Thundurus, I don't end up bringing this game, but it is something that I'll talk about in the matchup before I do end up bringing it. I do think that Tapu Koko is my strongest Pokemon this matchup, so I will end up bringing Tapu Koko in every game this matchup. I need Politoed in the back, just in case he does lead the Palisand Excelgor, then I can just hard switch the Tapu Koko into the Politoed. And then the last slot, I'm between any of my last three. Thievul works very well with the Tapu Koko, obviously, with the Electric Seed and Bird and stuff. Thundurus has a lot of power, I'm running choice specs on it, and then Landorus is a bulky Sword Stance variant that I use to just basically shut down any sort of setup strategy, because I can break through it eventually with the Landorus. So, wanting to see what my opponent leads, if he leads with Palisand Excelgor, like I said, I'll want to switch into Politoed immediately, but Latios Clefairy is an interesting lead here. Tapu Koko is going to put in some work on this lead, because I don't really think the Latios has anything that can touch Tapu Koko, and Clefairy doesn't do much damage generally. I assume this Latios is going to be running Draco, and likely Ice Beam as well for Landorus, but I can't confirm at this point in time. So I just sort of want to fake out the Clefairy, basically buy a turn, see what the Latios is going to be setting up for, and then the big decision point actually comes with the Tapu Koko, because I am running Light Screen on it. Do I want to set up the Light Screen for additional special bulk moving forward, or do I want to just lean and start getting off damage? Latios, I think, would either be Weakness Policy or Life Orb, but more than likely Life Orb. But I do decide to go for Dazzling Gleam, because if I can confirm the Weakness Policy on it, that would be incredibly useful moving forward and give me a bit more planning information. So it turns out that it's a Calm Mind variant, which I didn't necessarily expect, but I still think that Tapu Koko overall is just going to be an issue for his team as constructed. So, looking at this Ludicolo, I have a very bulky Ludicolo actually, so I'm pretty sure it can survive anything even a +1 Latios can throw at it. This gives me the ability to just try to nuke that Clefairy down while I continue to Dazzling Gleam to just get chip damage on both sides, and I don't really think that the Tapu is going to be touched as I just continue to launch flames. So here's the Latios maxing, which is basically to be expected at this point in time. And while it's maxing and I max Ludicolo, the damage that I'm expecting from it with a Draco Meteor at +1, I don't think it'll knock out. I'd say if it's max invested and Life Orb, it's probably going to do 85-ish%, so I should still be able to get off one max rain move and then set the rain up for myself to attack further. So, Helping Hand, I am a little nervous at this point, but I'm still pretty sure that Ludicolo will be able to survive, but there's always the chance that someone doesn't. I assume this is off of a Max Draco, and I'm pretty shocked. Like, in-game, I had to take a second, and then I see the critical hit. So, okay, I'm not surviving that. Helping Hand, critical hit. It's going down. So I lose my Dynamax without getting anything out of it game 1. Probably some poor play and positioning on my part. But I can just bring in Landorus. Bringing in Politoed is probably strictly better, but I really want to confirm whether or not this thing has Ice Beam, so I'm going to bring in Landorus with the thought to hard switch it into Politoed to try to eat a Max Ice Attack. And then while he's focused in on the Landorus, I'm just going to be able to continue to launch Dazzling Gleams with the Tapu Koko. I briefly consider attacking with it, but the hard switch into Politoed is much better in this situation, and I can launch another Dazzling Gleam. So the point of the Landorus switch-in was generally just to scout for Max Ice moves, so I know going forward whether or not it has it, and then also to buy extra turns for my Tapu Koko to just continue attacking. Follow Me does nothing in the face of Dazzling Gleam, and I would have gone for Rock Slide in the attack if I did go with an attack from the Landorus, just to be sure that I could hit both sides of it. So now I do know that it carries Ice Beam, Draco, and Calm Mind, and likely one more attack. I don't know what the last attack would be, but at this point, nothing wants to take a Dazzling Gleam. Both the Clefairy and the Latios are going to be knocked out by it, and just in case something does switch in to take the Dazzling Gleam, it's pretty easy to just Helping Hand, Gleam, and make sure that everything goes down. Because there's nothing really on his team in the back that wants to eat a Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam from a Tapu Koko. Something that would be concerning in the back is if he had Palossand Excelgor in the back and brings them both out at this point in time, just in front of my face with the Ludicolo down. I'm not really sure how I would deal with that if that's in the back. So that's how I potentially lose this game. But if he's got the Dottler, which I really don't know what the Dottler's going to be doing in the match. But the Hawlucha also, if it's unburdened stuff, it's going to be faster than the Tapu Koko. And it's probably faster anyway, because I'm not running max speed Tapu Koko. I've got a Tapu Koko that outspeeds max speed Latios by 1 point, but max speed Hawlucha will outspeed it. But that's mostly because I don't really see Hawlucha as a threat to Tapu Koko. And I just pick up the clean double KO here, and we will see what's in the back. Once again, I don't know what the Dottler does, so that concerns me a little bit. The Hawlucha I don't think threatens me. It will be faster, but it doesn't really have enough power to take out Tapu Koko at this point, I don't believe. And if it does, I've got Landorus in the back, which matches up fairly well. And it's a Mold Breaker Hawlucha, which, instead of the Unburdened variety, which I guess makes sense since he didn't bring Electric Terrain, but I'm bringing Electric Terrain even if he doesn't. I still would have expected the Electric Seed on it. So it's probably got some sort of power boosting move. My guess would be Band. So a Banded Hawlucha still probably might have a chance to take down Tapu Koko. I don't know my calcs for Banded Hawlucha very well off the top of my head, but I guess we're going to find out. Stone Edge, from what I assume, is Banded, and we eat it up. So double Dazzling Gleam. I see that the Hawlucha is in fact not Sash, so I do think it's Banded at this point, and Dottler just sets up Light Screen when it's the last thing on the field. I sort of question the addition of Dottler in what my opponent brought. I guess if he's not bringing Palossand Excelgor, then Dottler could be better as a potential Trick Room setter, and it seems to have screens, but I might have just even brought Palossand over Dottler with the 4 that my opponent brought. Dottler's inclusion on the 6 that he brings seems questionable to me, as it can't have a Violite either, because the Clefairy definitely is running a Violite, seeing how much damage was being done to it. And then I don't want to reveal any additional moves, so Helping Hand Dazzling Gleam, and it takes out the Dottler. I felt like I was under a bit of pressure this game, but the power of Tapu Koko was able to push through it, and I will see you guys around for game 2. So for game 2, I basically knew what I wanted. Ludicolo Thundurus lead. This Thundurus is built in such a way that it will 100% survive a Max Draco Meteor from a Life Orb Timid Latios. And Ludicolo, obviously, I needed in case he leads with Palisand. So that just left the back Pokemon for me, which Politoed helps with the Palisand game to just switch in and set up the rain. And Tapu Koko is the best Pokemon in this matchup from my point of view. So that was a quick and easy lock-in for me. I figured it out about halfway through game 1 that that's what I wanted to end up doing. And we will see what my opponent leads here. Unfortunately wasn't able to bring Feeble this game. I think it's really cool and great with Tapu Koko in a lot of situations, but it just didn't quite fit into the game plan for this particular game. So, the Palisand lead. It's pretty easy for Ludicolo just to nuke this Palisand. I did want to check one thing. I wanted to make sure that Thundurus was in fact faster than unboosted Ludicolo. I'm fairly certain it is, but I'm not running any speed investment on the Thundurus or the Ludicolo for this match, but I just wanted to make sure that that was the case. So I can Volt Switch instead of hard switching out to get the Politoed in with the same effect for the rain, except I'll do a chunk to break Excelgor. This Palisand is about to just get absolutely nuked by Ludicolo. There's no real way around it. Even if he is running max HP, max special defense, if he Water Shurikens into it, it will boost his defense, but I don't have any physical attackers this game, so I don't really care about that, and the Water Shuriken would lower it to the point where even the low rolls on Ludicolo would take out a max HP, max special defense Palisand. So seeing him Dynamax it here leaves me generally pretty happy. I know he could be running some sort of weird Excelgor set that does damage to Ludicolo. I'm a little nervous about it, but once the Water Shuriken comes out, I feel very, very confident about where I am this game. This Palisand isn't going to be able to attack me. It's not going to live to attack me. I'm going to get a nice Volt Switch off on the Excelgor and then have 2 more turns of max Ludicolo in the rain when he doesn't have a max Pokemon left. So I'm going to be dealing a substantial amount of damage to his team just with Ludicolo at this point in time. Thundurus Volt Switch confirms the Focus Sash on the Excelgor, which is always good to know, and I'm going to get the Politoed in, set up the rain, and then just blast this Palisand. I think now's a good time to talk a bit about the matchup in general. My opponent couldn't really bring his normal electric terrain stuff because I've got 2 electric immunities on my team, so that's going to leave him with a bit of an issue. You see Ludicolo here does just eviscerate this Palisand, and I feel very comfortable with my positioning at this point in time. There's not much that can live helping hand max Ludicolo on his team, and I'm basically just going to take advantage of that from this point on. The Latios could, in theory, give me some issues, but again, this is a bulky enough Ludicolo that it's not really going to matter. That Clefairy's not really going to be doing much. I can just take out both the Excelgor and the Clefairy because max guys are into that Clefairy. Based on the damage I saw it take last game, I think the Clefairy is more physically bulky than specially bulky, if I'm remembering my Dazzling Gleam calcs correctly. Final Gambit there basically denies me a kill onto the Excelgor. And then I go in with Max Geyser Skulls. I'm sure this Clefairy is going to be going down in this turn. And we'll see what his last thing is. Yeah, and my opponent didn't have a good answer for Rain without his Electric Core, and he couldn't bring his Electric Core in the face of a potential Landorus T, Thundurus T, double Electric immunity. The Thundurus T I built this match is actually pretty interesting. It should basically just always be able to pick up KOs onto Clefairy and Electric terrains, which is why I led the Thundurus. in case I need to switch in Tapu Koko onto another Clefairy Latios League just to kill the Clefairy, and then we'd have a number of potential answers for Latios, including switching out the Thundurus and using Specs Dark Pulse on it. But this Dottler is going to be taking a Helping Hand Max Geyser, so game 2 is going to be a pretty clean 4-0 for me, as my opponent didn't have a good answer to Rain in this game without bringing Latios. But good games to my opponents. I enjoyed the match, and I will look forward to next week's matchup.